In the previous video, I demonstrated how the drone with the Master Airscrew props would vibrate and make its way across the table. And I put a video up demonstrating this, and also including a flight which showed that the footage was still stable. Since then, I watched a couple more videos and discussing the possible reasons why there might be some kind of imbalance. One guy said that he found that the joint here, the pin joints right at the hub of the propeller, were kind of stiff compared to the DJI props, so they are a little bit more stiff. And he put some graphite lubricant right there at the pin joints, and he found that it helped, and it didn't vibrate. Some people leave their props closed and start up the drone, and then relying on centripetal force to kind of open them out. But I usually open mine out anyway, and mine walked across the table last time, so that was not really my issue. Another commenter in my previous video said that there's a difference between, of course, static and dynamic balance. I demonstrated that these props were all statically balanced using my that nail on the vise that I had in my workshop. And but still, despite that, it still, vibrated across the table. So what he said was there's flash material, and I mentioned this before, that there was extra material here that made the edges feel a bit rough, the edges of the propeller, both sides, leading and trailing edge. So what he did, he actually took some steel wool, he said, and he took off the bloom that is on the edges and smoothed them out a little bit. Well, I never did like the feel of the edges, so I'm going to do exactly the same and see if there's any difference to my props. So let's get these props off and then do some sanding. So what I've got here is 400 grit automotive sandpaper, 3M sandpaper. Is very, almost smooth. So it's not going to take too much material off. And what I propose to do is to just rub it lightly on the edge until I get a nice smooth finish to it. Because these props are thinner than the DJI props, so you don't want to, go too far, because then you can change the static balance as well. The props are now back on. I sanded the leading and trailing edges, and I checked that they're all smooth. I ran a microfiber cloth down just to see if there was any snagging, and they all feel nice and smooth. So what I'm going to do now is start up the controller and start up the drone, and then turn it on and see what happens. Still moving. In this case, it's going in a 4 o'clock direction, so it's kind of moving slightly diagonally but backwards on the table. So sanding the edges did not really make any difference. As you can see, the drone is still moving. It's actually moving more than the last time I did this test, because then it was just oscillating back and forth very slightly. But now it's just crawling across the desk. It sounds smooth, but it definitely is not staying in one position. As a control, I put the DJI OEM propellers back on, and we're going to just see how it performs. Same desk, same position. Let's start up the props.
The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
Yeah. Look at that. You can see it for yourself. It started, it hardly budged, and it's not moving right now. It's not walking across the table. I'm looking at the bottoms of the feet as they're resting on the table, and they're essentially not moving. there you have it. So what does this all mean? I really don't know. The difference between the Master Airscrew Stealth props and the DJI props is so small when it comes to performance, and you know, it seems to be not vibrating as much, so smoother performance. So I think that my previous video's recommendation rating of 3.5 out of 5 is still good.